How do? My name is Andrew Hancock and I am a VMware technical architect from Yorkshire in the United Kingdom. I have worked with VMware since their birth in 1998, so that has been over 24 years I have been working with the VMware product catalogue. Some of my close colleagues say if you cut Andy in half, it reads VMware like a stick of rock from Blackpool. I have now written 134 articles and recorded 30 hours of VMware vSphere videos for Experts Exchange and received 40 Experts Exchange awards over the last 10 years working with the Experts Exchange community. I am currently the overall #1 point earner in the Hall of Fame at Experts Exchange. I am honoured to have been accepted into the VMware vExpert program since 2011 and more recently made a VMware vExpert Pro for the last 3 years. Okay, welcome back to another VMware Hancock's half hour. And in this video tutorial, I'm going to show you how we install our second virtual machine on our VMware vSphere 8 lab cluster. And we're going to have a little look at installing Windows Server 2022. For those of you that watched the previous video on installing Windows 11 on our cluster, you may have heard me sort of kind of say that it felt a bit like treacle, and my gut instinct was to sort of kind of suggest that it probably needed some more CPUs. And in fact, yes, it did. So it just goes to show that the templates that some people refer to them as, but when we're creating our virtual machine for the first time and we actually select the operating system, and VMware vSphere has a guess, and it is a guess, as to what resources in terms of CPU, memory, and storage space is required. That really is only a guess. So I bumped up the number of cores from 2 to 4, and it actually basically made the virtual machine a lot more responsive. So I think you really have to suck it and see. Your mileage may vary depending upon the host that you're running it on, but take those values that are given to you really as a pinch of salt. And if you know better, or if the virtual machine when you've actually deployed it feels a little bit sluggish, then the flexibility that you have within a virtual environment is you can go back and you can tweak and you can add some memory, take away some memory, add some CPUs, or take away some CPU. So I've actually basically increased this now to say 4 CPUs, and it's far more responsive than what it was before. And that was CPU bound, and I could see that really by actually, again, shortly after the I stopped recording, I noticed that the Windows 11 was actually given at a high CPU alert. It was using about 6 gigs of CPU, and it was almost flatlining. And of course you can also check this as well for yourself if you actually go to the performance overview, and you can actually see the performance as well of your virtual machine. So without further ado, we're going to get on and we're going to start creating and deploying Windows Server 2022. So again, in much the same way that I installed Windows 11, you can select any of these. You could select up here, you could select here, or you could select here. So I'm actually going to select the actual host that I want to deploy the virtual machine on. So I'm going to select new virtual machine. I'm going to create a new virtual machine, and I'm going to call it Windows Server 2022, just an example, but you can call it anything you like. But bear in mind, this is just really a name for the inventory in VMware vSphere or vCenter Server. This does not reflect the guest host name actually in the operating system. So this is just really, so it makes sense if you have a naming convention for your virtual machines that you use the same naming convention in your inventory as you do in your guest OS. So I'm going to call it Windows Server 2022 as an example, and I'm going to click next. This is the actual host that I want to deploy it on, so I'm going to click next. Again, I'm going to select the data store ESXi 002 underscore local underscore VMFS 6, which is an SSD rated data store. And you may actually notice that there's the encrypt this virtual machine option here if I want to encrypt it. But I'm just going to say next. This time I'm going to actually use ESXi 8 and later, because we're not going to move this virtual machine to our other lab in future. And I'm going to click next. It's Windows. I'm going to select Windows 2022 because there is an option for it. I'm going to enable Windows virtual based security, and I'm going to click next. Now here is where we customize the hardware to what some people refer to as the template. Now I already know that Windows 11 struggled with 2 cores, so I'm going to give it 4 cores. I'm going to give it 8 gig. And I'm also going to change the, I'm going to say that's 120 gig. I'm going to connect my ISO at this time from the data store. And we uploaded this in a previous part. I was going to give it a number, but I'm not quite sure of the number. So I'm going to say previous part. And that's our ISO. I'm going to click OK. I'm going to tick connect at power on. I'm happy with the other settings. I'm going to click next and I'm going to click finish. And there's our Windows Server 2022. So I'm basically just now going to click power on. I'm going to click launch web console. And if I'm again a little bit slow because I needed to hit enter. So if I'm just going to basically click send control alt delete and then basically just click back into the screen to get the focus, and we'll start installing Windows Server 2022. This is going to be no different to installing any other Windows operating system that you've seen me install previously or you've done on a physical or virtual platform. So again, we're just going to select United Kingdom and I'm going to click next. I'm going to click install now. Now, Windows Server 2022 does not require a TPM and it does not require a virtual TPM device. Again, I'm going to basically say I don't have a product key. And I'm basically going to say that I want to do Windows Server 2022 standard desktop experience followed by next. I'm going to accept license agreement followed by next, and I'm going to select the disk partition and I'm going to click install. Subtly different in that it now actually turns around and says installing a Microsoft Server operating system. But other than that, very, very similar to any other Windows-based installation and very similar to the Windows 11 installation that we did previously. So with that, once again, I'm gonna disappear. I was going to say bob off, but some people basically are watching these and thinking, what on earth is he talking about? So I'm gonna disappear from the keyboard and I'm going to stop waffling, and I'll speed all this up in post, and I'll come back when we start filling in the details. And the server's going to restart a few times, install updates, etc. And I'll come back and I'll summarize shortly. So I'll be back when this all happens by magic and sped up in post. And welcome back. Okay, that was actually a lot quicker than I remember. I was away on another computer just about to start a game of Fortnite. and I looked over my shoulder and went, oh, hang on, best come back and attend this. Anyway, so my apologies on that. Okay, so password, make sure that you remember it. Followed by finish. And I was going to hit Control Alt Delete up here. I'm going to log in. This does actually feel a lot more responsive, but we have changed the number of CPUs and we have increased the storage slightly. But I think the bottleneck before when we did Windows 11 was, I think, 2 cores. It's just not many. Okay, so try and manage servers with the Windows admin setting. Yeah, okay, fair enough. Okay, so that's all I've got to show you in this video. Quick, simple, and in the next couple of videos I'm going to show you how to install VMware tools, and we'll talk about the confusion that exists over, I think, the default E1000E and the E1000 network interface, which is selected by default in the template, because as I mentioned before, Microsoft Windows currently doesn't have the VMX Net 3 driver included in the installation media. You will find it if you're installing Linux, Linux. The many distributions of Linux have the VMX Net 3 driver in it. So when we come on to do installations of Ubuntu server and Ubuntu desktop later, I will point out that the adapter type that's included in those is the VMX Net 3 driver. So there's no need to replace that later, because they have the driver in the distributions. But Microsoft at the moment does not have the driver in the distribution in the original ISO, baked into the original ISO. But Windows updates do provide updates for the VMX Net 3 driver. So I'm puzzled and I'm not sure why they provide the updates for it, but they won't bake that actually into the OS. If you know, then drop a note in the description. Anyway, so thanks very much for watching this video. Come back soon. Look out for the other parts. I will put the awesome resources list for the Podhead Club, organized by Edward Richmond, and you can have a little look there at that link, and you can actually basically see all the articles and the videos that I've that are hosted at Experts Exchange. So anyway, thanks very much for watching, and all the best and good health to you. So good night and goodbye.